Buenas noches, me gustaría
Ordinance
llamar esta
Committee
la
for
reunión de
Holyoke,
la hora
Massachusetts on February 7th,
en febrero
2024. The time is
7 de
6:30
2024.
p.m. on Wednesday. With me,
Miércoles.
I have
Y
Councilor
conmigo yo
Bacon,
tengo
Councilor Bartley,
el concejal
Councilor
Bacon,
Rivera,
concejal
Jenny
Barkley,
Rivera, and
la
Councilor
concejal Jenny Rivera
Meg McGrath Smith,
y Meg
and
McGrath
myself,
también.
Councilor Israel Rivera.
Y,
I
y yo,
would
el
like to
concejal
entertain
Rivera.
a motion.
Me gustaría
Mr. Chair,
tener
I'd
una
like
moción.
to take number 1 off the table.
Me gustaría
Second.
tener
All in
el
favor?
artículo 1
Aye.
en la mesa. ¿Todo en favor?
Number one is the minutes for January 23rd, our last meeting,
Por
2024.
febrero,
Motion to receive.
moción para
I'll second that
recibir.
motion.
Yo
All
voy a
in favor?
Aye.
secundar esa moción. ¿Todos en
Motion to
favor?
take up item 2.
Second.
Moción para
All in
tomar
favor?
el artículo
Aye.
número 2.
Item 2 reads and was filed by Councilor McGee on March 21st, 2023. Order that an ordinance be established to address the two-thirds majority vote of the body for votes. Legal, please provide language necessary for review. I ended up getting an email from, an attachment around KP law.
Y un adjunto.
I don't know if it's here, if you guys all had the time to review.
No sé si han tenido el tiempo para
To me, it
revisar.
was kind of straightforward.
Para mí fue muy directo.
But if anyone has any questions or
Si
anything
alguien
about
tiene
this
alguna
particular
pregunta.
order, again, some of these orders I'm just bringing up to clean out the
alguna de esas
jacket
órdenes
and
nosotros
deal with
hemos
them,
traído
because there's a lot, and I'm just trying to
Porque
get
mucho,
different things done
y tratar
throughout
de
the
tener
process. So if there's any
diferentes
questions
cosas
or
para
any
proceso. Si
issues
hay
with
alguna
regards
pregunta en cuanto
to any of this
a
thing,
cualquiera de esto,
regarding this particular order, feel
en
free.
cuanto a esta orden en
The floor
particular,
is open for Councilor.
el piso está limpio.
Councilor
So-
Bacon.
Concejal Rivera.
So the idea, as I understand it
Entonces,
behind
la
this
idea que yo
order,
entiendo es que
was to take our rule and put it in
de tomar
ordinance
nuestras
form.
reglas y en
But
una
if-
forma,
Because
pero
there was a suggestion
porque
in the
eso fue
opinion
una
offered by
sugerencia,
that law firm, that for it to
ofrecida
have
por esa
the weight that we've
firma de
historically
abogados,
given
de
to
que
it
nosotros,
in
históricamente
our
nosotros
practice,
tenemos que
that
tener
it should
en
be
nuestra
in the
práctica
form of an
de
ordinance.
que debería estar en
So,
forma de una ordenanza.
If the committee was
si la
willing, the idea would be to take
quiere
the language from our rules
tomar
and put it
el
into ordinance
lenguaje
form
para la
for the
ordenanza,
council to approve, unless you're just
para
looking to
considerar
review
aprobarlo,
it and
solamente para
call it complied with, I
revisarlo.
don't know.
I mean, I was looking to review and call it
Bueno,
complied
yo estaba
with, but at the
esperando
same
revisarlo,
time,
pero
if
a la misma
you
vez,
would like to
Si le
entertain
gustaría,
something, I'm with that too.
si le
Counselor,
gustaría hacer algo
I'm
más,
just going
yo
to
también
speak ever
estoy con
briefly in favor of this, and then I'm going to
Pero
make a
sí,
motion, if
todos
that's
en
okay.
favor.
So I
Sí,
think
sí, está bien.
it makes a lot of
Entonces, yo
sense,
creo
and
que
Todd had a lot of foresight. He was on this board for,
tiene
I
bastante
think, 9
fuerza.
terms,
Y sí, yo creo que
and
en
city council
términos
president for
de
3
el
terms.
presidente del
He's,
dice
an accomplished attorney in his own
para
right.
com-
So
para,
my motion is
lograr,
to
mi moción es para
recommend this and to
recomendar
ask
eso
the
y
law
preguntar-
department to put
y
this into
preguntarle al
legal
departamento
form, and of course
de
come back
leyes
here
para
so that
ponerlo
we
en una
can
forma
review
legal para que
it.
vuelva aquí para que
would
nosotros
second that.
podamos revisarla. Yo lo voy a secundar
under discussion.
debajo de discusión.
I see that
yo veo
City
que,
Solicitor Jane
los
has her
solicitores
hand
Jane
up.
tiene su
Would somebody
mano arriba.
suspend? I have to suspend the rules for her to
I don't
speak.
think we have to.
No?
No,
Okay,
no voy a
perfect.
poner
I was
la
just trying to
regla
follow
por ahí,
procedure. Thank you.
Solamente quiero seguir la regla.
Jane?
James.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me today.
Gracias por tenernos hoy.
Thank you, Chair Rivera, for letting me speak.
Gracias, Rivera, por hablar.
So I just wanted to confirm,
Yo solamente quiero confirmar
Counselor Bartley,
que
that the
Conserva
motion
Bartley, que la
is
moción es
to
para
put the rule into legal
ponerla-
form, but that, because the current rule states that
la regla actual dice que
2/3 shall require
dos
full
terceros
membership or the full
deberían,
body.
necesitan,
And
membresía
Attorney
completa para el
Rich's
cuerpo.
letter from KP Law
Y
provided
la
that
carta de
the
las leyes
2/3
que
should
provee
be
que
on
dos
present and
tercios
voting
tiene
to make
que
sure it's
estar
in compliance with the
para votar,
statutes. So I just
para
want
que
clarity
esté,
on what you're
cumpliendo
asking
con el estatus.
for
Así que yo quiero
with respect to the
claridad de lo que
drafting.
está,
Thank you.
presentando para la perspectiva de
Counselor
la,
Bartley in response.
de la
Yeah.
elección. Concejal Barkley.
You have excellent peripheral vision. I didn't think even my hand was
Baseball, man.
I'm impressed.
I'm a baseball player, bro.
Estoy impresionado.
Well, we talked about, just as an aside, point of personal privilege. Yeah, we talked about that. I,
propósito,
baseball and
nosotros
basketball. I
hablamos
played all my life, so and coached it too, by the
Así
way.
que-
So Jane, if I may, Attorney Montalewski,
si yo puedo.
yes. So
Entonces,
to me, it's really important because we've had
Para mí
these
es muy
debates over
importante
the years
que
that
sobre
our
sobre
definition
todos los
section
años, la
lays out
definición de
really
las
what is,
secciones
because there are some votes that are are supermajority. Supermajority is 3/4, and sometimes that we use that term for 2/3, and that's not the term. 2/3, supermajority is 3/4, and there are certain things, especially in, Linda could talk this, it's, in zoning matters, I knew it was that company. In zoning matters, and we've had that, boomerang on us, at least on one very vivid occasion in 2013. So, I definitely want to have a clear cut, what's majority, what is 2/3, what's supermajority, lay all that out, and then pretty much follow the guidelines of KP. That's how I see it.
That makes sense. Councilor Bacon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in reading KP's opinion, his opinion was put forth in the context of our rules and our charter. And in his opinion, he said we didn't have any local laws or statutes that would inform his opinion, but that if we had statutes, then those would stand. Whereas he saw the rules as being internal, but if it was an ordinance, then it would be a local statute, if you will. And then my understanding of the way he wrote it would be that it would be okay if we did that. And I think that's why Councilor McGee at the time had filed it, just to formalize it.
We all set?
No further discussion, I'll just say on the motion.
I had my hand raised, sorry,
All right,
Chair
no,
Rivera.
go ahead, Jen.
Sorry. So I just wanted to make sure that it was noted on page 2 at the top of that opinion. He cites a statute, where it's pretty clear that says when it's action by more than a majority of city council's required action by the designated proportion of the members thereof present and voting thereon in a city with the single legislative board as Holyoke has shall be compliance. So I think that we should, I would strongly recommend that the council, if it wants to put something in ordinance form, would state that the requirement for when you have something more than a majority, essentially what this statute lays out, is present in voting. But I would just want to caveat that because Attorney Bartley, I'm sorry, well, you are Attorney Bartley, Councilor Bartley did bring up a good point about different statutes, and certain statutes do have certain requirements regarding the 2/3 voting that do require full membership of a body. So I think we need to be very cognizant of that and craft this ordinance in a way that is specific as to what we're trying to accomplish. So if we're saying, if we want to say something except where statutorily required, to be the full body, 2/3 shall be present in voting, something like that. So I wanted to at least say that to get that out there for thoughts and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon.
Well, I don't think Meg spoke on that.
Oh, I didn't see your hand. See, I lost that one. Councilor McGrath-Smith. Thank you for that.
So the question in the beginning of the KP law piece says that you've indicated that the city council through its rules has determined that votes are to be counted based upon the full complement of the council membership, and this would be of course rather than those present and voting.
Correct.
Why is that the will of the body? Why do you want it based on the full complement versus based on who's present and voting?
Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. So if we do not count the whole body in terms of these votes, as an example, say there is a certain vote coming up that is controversial, and the vote may be close, it may pass, it may not pass. If we do not count our 2/3 by the body as a whole, i.e. the number 9, people can simply not show up to the meeting, be absent. The number could be reduced to as low as 7, and then 2/3 of 7 could pass a law. And that's not the intent of the
y eso
rule.
no es el
The intent of the rule is
No,
that people will be
dicen que
present
la
and
regla-
voting.
la regla
And
para
the
estar
rule
presente
has
es
been
que
in
voten,
effect
y la regla
and
está
in
en
practice in
efecto
our
y practicada
ordinances
en nuestra ordenanza.
for years. And
Por
people can
años.
say,
Entonces la
well,
gente
that
puede
was then
decir,
and this is
bueno,
now.
eso estaba
But that is
antes,
a very valid
pero eso es
reason
una razón muy
to
válida
have this rule
para tener estas
so
reglas,
that people
para que la
will be
gente
present and
esté
vote,
presente,
which is very important, especially
lo cual
now
es
that we've
importante,
lowered the number of the
especialmente
city council
que
from
nosotros
15 to
hemos,
13.
tenemos
You know, so
que
all the numbers are
bajar la
lower now
velocidad.
anyway
Así que nuestro
with that change that was
nombre,
made. So that is the sort of
así
fundamental,
que eso es
practical
como
reason
fundamental,
for it.
una razón práctica para
And
eso. Y
I'm not taking anything away from the
no
opinion that was
teniendo-
provided
no
by the
tomando nada de la
firm that
opinión
we
que
have
se
in
ha
front of
aprobado,
us, but that
la
opinion
opinión
was
que tenemos
provided in a
nosotros,
different
pero la opinión
context
fue,
than we're in
proveída
right
en
now.
diferente contexto de lo que
It was
tenemos.
provided in the context
Fue
of a
probado en el
disagreement
contexto de
relative to the
desacuerdo
application of our
en cuanto a
rules.
la
And so
aplicaciones y
what
reglas.
we're trying to do with the
Entonces, lo que
ordinance
tratamos de
is to
hacer con la
codify our
ordenanza
rule.
es como que
And
clarificar nuestras
there
reglas.
is
Y hay
language, I
una
can't cite you,
lengua que no
the
puedo,
state statute or
no
whatever,
puedo
somebody
poner exacto
more
ahora mismo, pero
informed on them than I could probably
hay
do
gente
that.
que posiblemente está
It
más
has
informada de lo que yo estoy
been
ahora mismo,
communicated
pero
and
ha sido
understood
comunicada
by
y se ha
people
entendido
advising us
por
from our law
personas
firm in
que
the
nos están dando
past
consejería
that our
de
local
una
ordinances
firma de
cannot
abogados,
be
que la ordenanza local
looser
no
or
puede-
less strict than the state
no
law,
puede ser
but they
menos
can be
estricta
more strict.
que,
So if
no
we
puede
set
ser
an
menos
ordinance that
estricta
says we're going to count
la regla del
the
Estado, pero sí puede ser.
2/3 of the whole
Pero
body,
entonces nosotros
that is a
vamos
stricter
controlar que
interpretation
los
than the
tercios
state
es una
law, which
interpretación
says
estricta
of the
y
people
entonces,
present. So we are
la regla
allowed
del
in our
Estado dice
local
que la
ordinances
persona
to be
presente,
more
entonces
strict.
nosotros estamos
But we
permitidos
couldn't
para ser
say,
más
for
estrictos, pero no
example,
podemos decir, por ejemplo,
we call 5
nosotros llamamos
as
5
a majority. Like we
como
couldn't
la
make up a
mayoría.
number that was
No podemos
less.
hacer un número que sea
But
menor.
we have
Pero
been advised of that over the
hemos
years
sido
by former
aconsejados
attorneys in our law
por nuestros
department.
abogados y del departamento.
Thank you, Councilor Vigan. So
Gracias,
before I
Presidente.
recognize you, Councilor
Entonces, para
Bartley, I
reconocer,
just wanted to make
yo
a
solamente
comment
quiero
real quick. So like I hear that
yo oigo
concern
ese
wholeheartedly,
preocupación,
but I think the
pero
purpose
el
in
propósito
democracy
y la
to have
para la democracia,
what's it
para
called?
tener, ¿cómo se llama?
What's the lowest amount of people we need to have?
Majority.
Majority,
La-
simple
lo
majority.
que puede
Simple
tener.
majority. There's a purpose for
La
that. That is
mayoría
that is a
hay un
mechanism
propósito
that
para
has
ello.
been
Es
put
un
in place
mecanismo que
intentionally
pone
to make
en
sure
lugar
that
intencionalmente para
the
asegurarse
process
que
can still move forward.
el proceso todavía se puede
Ideally,
mover.
you're not always
Idealmente,
going to have everyone
no
there
siempre va a
available.
tener a todo el mundo
And
ahí
when you don't
disponible.
have that person
Entonces, cuando no
available,
tiene
you
esa
can't
persona
count someone that's
disponible,
not there
no
as an
puede
automatic no
contar
vote.
a alguien como un voto
Like,
no,
so
no
that's
voto.
it just doesn't
Eso es
logically
solamente no,
make sense
no,
for
lógicamente
democracy
no
in a
hace sentido
sense.
por
Now,
la
I understand that we can
Ahora yo entiendo
make
que
things
nosotros
stricter because we
podemos
have that
hacerlo un
ability
poco
and
más
that
estricto
power,
porque tenemos
but
esa habilidad
for
y
the
ese
sake of
poder,
democracy,
pero
not for the sake
por
of
la
political,
democracia, no por el hecho de
whatever battles that are happening on the
o cualquier
council, I
batalla
get
están
that.
pasando en el
And
council,
that's
yo
the reason
entiendo
why
eso.
it's
Y esa es la
okay to
razón
have,
en la
or the
cual
idea
está
is
bien
okay to have it
teniendo
stricter,
idea.
just in case someone's making a
Es-
move or
está
trying to
bien
do
tenerlo algo más
political
estricto en
games,
caso de
right?
que
But for
alguien
the sake of democracy,
tenga una
democracy
movida
doesn't
o
get involved in that piece. Those are the players that do that. The players, we do that. Democracy is not intended for that. So I guess the piece for me is what makes more sense for democracy in the city of Florida. Councilor Bartley.
Well, I'm going to say that the best thing we can do is get this into draft legal form, and then we can look at the verbiage. To me, there are certain things, and we can't control it, and already enshrined in state law, where it's 3/4, 2/3, or simple majority. We have that same flexibility in our ordinances too. But I think the main point, I think just chew on this. If counselors want to game a system, they can do that by voting with their feet. In other words, disappearing. They don't want to take a vote. And that shrinks the number. And if you look at that, that is not really the intention of the rule and hopefully the ordinance one day. It's to make, it's to signify the importance of the particular issue, such as taking funds out of stabilization. Now, look, it's 2/3 for a reason. We talked about that till we're blue in the face. And then, but other things like electing a city council president, simple majority. There's really a variety of reasons. To me, the one point I wanted to make clear, and you've seen it yourself, we've done this early in your first term, and we also did it just before you arrived, that rulings one day were for the full body, and rulings on another matter, because the city council president didn't want it that way, were on the members present. See, this is no good. And so when you talk about democracy, and I mean, you want to have consistency, counselor, you're a counselor, so you come in. So you want to have consistency, but you want to have the rules spelled out. That's why I mentioned to Jane, Attorney Montalewski, really important that we define these things right in that first section. So I hope that helps. Thank you.
Councilor McGrath Smith and then.
Hey, Carmen.
I did also want to name that we have, to your point, Councilor Bartley, some other places in the city council rules where we refer to a two-thirds supermajority. So you're right that we are using these terms in different ways, and it means that depending on the situation, different people are interpreting them differently, vote by vote. So I do think, and this is good work to bring to charter and rules too, and to really make sure that the way that we're talking about voting is consistent and has a clear interpretation that we're all behind and understand and accept.
Councilor Bacon. And then Jane, I got you after that.
So I want to touch on your comments relative to democracy. So in the argument that you make, you say if the person is absent, they count as a no vote. In the flip scenario, that only the members present get counted toward the two-thirds vote, an absent person is a yes vote, because then they're lowering the threshold. So, I mean, it's the other side of the argument. And I think relative to democracy, it is requiring participation. And the rules also indicate you can only abstain when you have a legitimate conflict. You're not supposed to just walk in the back room so you don't vote on a matter that you don't want to be on the record on.
And I think the assumption though with your colleagues is if that they're not present, it's because something came up that is hopefully important that they're not here, right? And then the accountability piece falls back on the voters when they go back to vote.
That's because we all understand that when we do votes changing laws in our local community, 9 people have to be here to pass it. Of the 13. That's understood by everybody. And usually we have pretty good attendance. But I also want to point out that in our rules, it doesn't say that two-thirds is a supermajority, okay? It says, all votes of a council committee requiring a majority shall require a majority of those members present. That's committee. All votes of the council or any of its committees requiring a two-third or more supermajority shall require that same supermajority of the entire membership. So it could be two-thirds or it could be three-quarters, but this isn't saying that two-thirds is being called a supermajority. It's saying or more. So I think that part is okay, but for me, I would like to see the legal form mirror our rules. But if it is the will of the committee that you rather just consider it reviewed and complied with, I could go that way too.
I think Councilor Bartley already motion.
Well, we have a motion,
Yeah.
but,
We have a motion and a second.
well, and we can have a secondary motion.
Not.
I haven't heard one. So on the motion.
We have to, we're all here.
Yeah, we're all here. So
Just say all in favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So
Any opposed?
any opposed, right? Thank you.
All in favor. All right.
Thank you. So
Mirror our rule.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to take.
I don't think that's what it was.
Can I,
think
I
that's what
was
it
just going
was.
to clarify
Is that the
that.
No.
No.
Let's,
The motion was to follow the KP law's advice. That was his
You
motion.
made the motion.
He did.
I did. I made motions. So let's look at what KP says and
The language is going to come back anyways, and if we don't,
come back
right?
anyway. I mean, hopefully we will mirror our current rules, but we'll vote on all stuff. Let's just get into
Yeah, the language will come
We're
back.
talking the abstract.
Right.
And I'm sorry to talk over you.
No, don't worry about it.
But when we're talking the abstract like this, we know in front of me, we're talking silliness.
We'll just get the language, and when the language comes, we can pick apart the language and pick what we want.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take number 3 off the table. if I
Así que
may.
me gustaría tener la moción de tomar
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 3 was brought forth by Councilor Murphy Ramboletti and Councilor Tallman on September 5th, 2023, with support from the city's Veterans Benefit Department that the City Council update its ordinances to provide free municipal parking for veterans that have an official veterans license plate.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to put this into legal form so it comes back to us so we can look at. I fully support this, that's me.
Yo siempre he
Here,
apoyado
second.
eso. Una segunda.
No, second, okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Under discussion.
No, I think the maker's on the computer, so, but I support it, put the legal form, look at it.
Councilor Murphy Ramboletti, or Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Rivera and the committee. Yeah, as Councilor Bartley mentioned, for me, this is pretty straightforward. We didn't want to complicate this too much by having it, if you're a veteran, you can automatically get free parking. This is more if you have a veteran's license plate, then you can this would apply to you. So trying to make it as easy as possible for our folks at the DPW who are enforcing parking, but just also recognizing that this is something small that we can do as a signal of our appreciation for the service of our veterans. So that's really why I filed it, and yeah, thank you.
I really put it on the agenda because of Mr. Tallman, just know that. Nah, I'm just playing.
Ouch, not me.
No, but I'm saying he's a veteran.
No, that's cool,
This
that's
works
cool,
for
that's
him 110%, Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, and don't forget Councilor Poyle, don't forget Councilor Graney, both veterans. So, if I could say, the only caveat I'd like to make to this is that the veterans parking, that doesn't mean you can go into handicap parking with a veterans plate. So, I'd want to have that
Correct.
specifically
In
excluded
the language.
in our ordinance. Yeah, I want that to be super clear for for Carlos and for John that are out there doing their thing. So, but otherwise, parking at a parking meter, parking in at the Prue garage or the Topia garage or wherever. The city owns property. I don't think, respectfully, I don't think it's a small thing. I think it's a big thing, and I think it's great. This is wonderful. So,
Real quick for clarification, I think we would have to get communication to the DPW and make sure that the people that are enforcing parking understand that, like, anyone with the veterans plate, just walk by, like, keep walking. At the end of the day, don't give them a ticket, right? Unless they're in a handicap spot, right? But I think with regards to like the garages, there's a different system for those, and there's like an open close system that kind of charges them on the way out. How would we navigate that?
They'd have to decide if they wanted to use it, I think.
yeah, coordinate that with.
That would be up to the person.
I think the clerk issues a card.
A card, yeah.
So, give them a card.
Okay. All right, just
Give them a card.
all right, perfect. So then this will be sent for lingual language and
Back
that's
here. Yeah,
okay.
we can't do nothing.
So on the motion,
Entonces, para la moción.
Aye.
What do you say, all in favor?
yeah, I mean to say all in favor. My bad. All in favor?
Aye.
¿Todo en favor? Yo.
Thank you.
Yo.
Any opposed?
There you go.
¿Alguien en contra?
Okay, just a point of order to the chair. I see this is item 4 is a copy.
Yo te
Yes,
digo
I
que
saw
la
that
libro-
just now.
We can't act
Hubo
on
otros
copies.
Yeah,
copiados.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, but do you want to take it up for discussion?
I think they just had. I don't even think I don't remember putting this one on. This one might
No me
be.
puedo ponerlo ahí.
Well,
But-
No, it's in charter and rules, isn't it?
Estabas en
Yes,
la-
I think they just spoke on it the other day. But
I'll make a motion, to take it off the
Puede
table
ser
for
una
purpose
moción
of
para
discussion.
sacarlo de la mesa.
all in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 was filed by Councilor Gibner and Councilor Tolman. Order with community support that all ordinances that in charter and rules reflecting city council and city council subcommittee meet notices be updated to reflect acceptance of email as sufficient method of notice and city website posting as sufficient method of public notice. Councilor McGrath-Smith.
I think the goal here is to have the city solicitor's office work with us to come into the next charter and rules meeting to go through the process around what it looks like to move a home rule petition forward on a number of small issues, including this one as well, because it affects state statutes that we need to address. It's not something we can handle in-house.
Councilor Bartley?
Yeah,
Councilor Bartley, my bad.
because
Okay, porque
I found something and I wanted to, through the chair, I want to share it with Jane, Attorney Mental. I keep calling you Jane, I'm sorry, Attorney Mental.
Yeah, I did the
I
same.
know you, so I mean,
yo sé que te conozco.
Attorney Mentalowski, so just,
I have no problem with Jane, so you can keep doing that. It's no worries.
Puedes hacer eso, no hay
I'm
problema.
not gonna sing Jefferson Starship, but I'm tempted to do it. So,
Listo,
hold on a second.
Okay, un segundo.
Come on,
Ven.
just give me a second. I will
Un segundo.
absolutely find this.
No
Yo
worries.
definitivamente
Any other
voy a
questions
intentar.
just in
¿Hay
case
alguna otra
until he finds it?
pregunta?
I will absolutely find it.
Absolutamente lo voy a encontrar.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
No, aquí está.
I'm gonna find it.
Lo voy a encontrar.
There we go. Here we go. Yeah.
Aquí está.
Okay. Just through the chair to.
Eso es solamente para hablar.
In doing some research on this, and I heard what the Charter and Rules Chair said, but there happens to be a CMR, 940 CMR 29, and that CMR,
Ese CMR,
wait a minute, make sure I got the right one
un
here.
segundo, a ver que
Don't tell
tengo
me to
aquí
speed
el
this up.
correcto. No me digas que yo lo dañé.
Yeah, no, this is right.
Sí, ese es.
940
El
CMR
940
29 allows
29
for
permite
municipalities to
para la municipalidad
adopt a different kind of meeting
un
notice.
diferente tipo de,
And so long as we give notice to the Attorney General's office, we can do it either notices on the web or notices through mail, but we have to have one that's preferred. I'm just gonna leave it there to let Attorney Mentalewski and the Law Department review that CMR, and that's a Code of Mass Regulations, as we all know. 940 CMR 29. So it goes on to help bolster the open meeting law, and I think this allows.
We're in compliance.
Mike, sorry about that, sorry.
Well, give me 1 second. Solicitor Bissonnette, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify, Holyoke is designated the city clerk and the website through both the Secretary of State's office and the Attorney General's office as our official public notice. So that good catch on the regulation. That has replaced the old behind the glass door outside the clerk's office. As one more example of electronic communication. So we're legit and ready to go on public notice. The question again is personal notice to the members of the committee or the members of the council, as case may be. And is email a satisfactory way to achieve that in situations where an individual either does not wish to have email or would prefer an in-hand delivery of the actual document, sort of like the city messenger days. So that's where we're at with that discussion. Good discussion ongoing, and I look forward to more clarity as we keep working on the rules.
Thank you, Councilor Bacon. You all set? All right, thank you.
I was just gonna say that the website was already prepared, that's all.
So I'm hearing a motion to table, right? Because, or
Well,
at least
Well, it's.
complied with, because
yeah, I'll
I
say,
don't actually.
because they're already got charter and rules,
Right.
right? They're on top of it, so I'll make a motion, it's been reviewed, complied with because we reviewed it.
Para el comprometimiento hasta que nosotros la revisemos.
I need a second.
Necesito una segunda.
Seconded it.
Oh, she did? All right. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
¿No? ¿Hay alguien opuesto?
I'll make a motion to take agenda
¿Alguna
item
moción?
5.
Para tomar
From
el
the table.
artículo 5 de la mesa.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
¿Todo en favor?
Anyone opposed?
Ok, ¿alguien que se opone?
Okay. Item 5 was filed by Councilor McGee again,
Artículo 5.
October 17th,
Ordenó la
2023,
comisión
that the
de
DPW
DPW
Commission
que
return
vuelva
to
a revisar
reviewing
y
and
fijar
setting the sewer rate.
la
So I put this one in the jacket mostly
al
because
cantidad-
McGee
al
recently filed it, but I seen it
cantidad-
filed I think twice, two other times
Tabled
in
in
the
committee.
past. Yeah,
Entonces,
I think it was tabled or something like that.
sí, yo
So
creo que se había puesto en la mesa.
I figured just to bring it
Entonces
forward
yo
because
me di cuenta de que
a couple
yo
other
creo que es
people
mejor para-
had
porque
filed
hay
the same
varias
order a
personas
couple
que
times. So
que han puesto la
Mr.
misma
Chair, I'll
orden
make a
varias
motion
veces.
to suspend our rules
Entonces,
and
me gustaría hacer una moción para
the
suspender las reglas
DPW
y
Board of
permitir
Public
que
Works
DPW
Chairwoman to address us
para que se
for
dirija a
a certain period of time, not forever.
cierto periodo de tiempo.
wait a second.
Así que
All in favor?
Aye.
Por favor.
I know you're good, Mary, but
Yo sé que eres
With us we have DPW Chairwoman, or Madam Chair, Mary Monahan.
señora.
Oh, and Commissioner Libby Hernandez is on her way. She be here.
Está aquí.
is the mic on, Mary? Is the mic on?
El micrófono.
Mike, please.
Mic
There
is
you
on
go.
now?
See? Hey yo,
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, so again, thank you for, when we saw this on the agenda, it looked like an opportunity to update all on the FY '24 progress towards recommending an FY '25 rate. And hopefully it won't be a repeat of last year. In fact, it won't be a repeat of last year. So we just kicked off a meeting 2 weeks ago, the kickoff meeting with our consultant, which includes Mark Abrahams, that's looking at the detailed expenses associated with the enterprise fund, including breaking out of the sewer fee from Veolia, those discrete costs associated with MS4 support. MS4 support includes street sweeping, includes culvert cleaning and replacement, it includes a number of other maintenance and operation issues, including outfall inspections, water quality sampling, storm drains. Anything associated with storm water, specifically prescriptive in our MS4 permit, is in the contract with the contractor, which Veolia purchased about a year ago. So all of that work has been handled citywide through the enterprise fund and paid for by the ratepayer. So our study that's beginning will identify those costs and will actually identify the operations associated with those costs. So it's not just a cost, but it's a breakdown and the level of effort to comply with our MS4 permit, as well as to comply with the just basic maintenance of our streets that go above and beyond the MS4 permit. It's also going to look at the cost of our flood control systems down by the river. Those are also part of the enterprise fund. Again, it's assumed to be a citywide protection in the sense that, you know, it's not just folks on the river, but operations and other things. But the ratepayer has been paying for the operation and maintenance of the flood control systems down by the river. There's about 6 of them. Several of them have some upcoming potential significant costs associated with improvements that the Army Corps of Engineers has wanted. This study is going to begin looking at how much does it cost annually, how much are these improvements required, and the most important thing, do we really need these flood control systems? They were constructed in 1934 to protect operations, factories, a rail line that are no longer there. It's a process to get the Army Corps, however, to back away from what they want to do, but this study will identify, the next steps in making that happen. It will also identify other costs associated with the enterprise fund that the ratepayers do pay for, the costs associated with Hoyok Water Works, their billing. We pay them to support our billing services. And the most important thing is this project will not so much conclude, but a key component towards the end of the project will be a public presentation by the Board of Public Works of the findings associated with this financial and operational review of the system, which will both allow the public to see what are they paying for, and it will give council that insight when you do the budget next year. How do you want to allocate those costs? So this seemed like the opportunity to make sure council and the public are aware of the fact that, the FY24 sewer rate discussion concluded with, we're still looking at things, and it's probably going to be a 2-year process, because the timing of this is such that the project end will be May of 2024, and you're going to be into the budget season at that point. So that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is the status of the sewer repair. Council appropriated an additional $100,000 to put in the enterprise fund to pay for breaks. So we have now hit that number. So we are now going into potentially deficit spending as a result of responding to the work that's been done to date. And there's been 3 other projects that have been identified as a result of ARPA funds have been supporting TVing of our sewer system. So it's giving us an idea of conditions. Where might we have a problem? What do we need to do next? And they did identify 3 downtown sections that, without a repair now, would probably collapse within the next 6 months and create some major problems. So good news is that allows us to go through a bid process to actually get some quotes and cost less, as opposed to be an emergency response. So that TVing is giving us an opportunity to prevent expensive catastrophes that, one of them Carl had noted would probably create a sinkhole in the middle of Pine Street. So, but we know it's there, and it's in the process of everything needing to be done to get it fixed. So this just, again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to update based on the 2024 sewer rate discussions.
Thank you. There's a lot of information. Councilor Bacon.
I just have a quick question. When do you anticipate, in terms of the review of the contract, that they will be able to come forth with the findings, the initial findings?
Of the current study we're doing right now?
Yes.
Okay, so the end of study date is May of 2024. So
May
I'm
2024.
right. So I'm expecting.
I just didn't know.
Yeah, the board should be prepared to do that at some point in that timeline.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess I would make a motion to table this pending receipt of more information.
I'll second.
All in favor? Well, under discussion first, I'm sorry.
You don't
It's
discuss
non-debatable.
tabling.
Perfect.
Just a point of order.
Yep.
Because we do this all the time. So if somebody wants to say something, then we just
Withdraw
we'll
the
withdraw the
motion
motion
to
to
table.
table.
If
We're
there's
not,
still
we're
more
not playing
discussion.
Robert's Rules nonsense games here, right? So, okay, so, but if nobody wants to say nothing, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Okay, Councilor
Motion
Hernandez?
passes 5-0.
They were quick.
Do we,
A motion.
hey, I'll make a motion to take agenda item 6 off the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Todos en favor, yo.
Agenda item 6 was filed by Councilor Maldonado Velez on December 19, 2023. Order that the city creates a housing committee tasked with creating policy suggestions and implementation of Office of Tenant Protections, Office of Returning Citizens, and Homeless Liaison. Roles and committee to be created by ordinance, while bylaws to be created by the committee. The committee should include at least one of the following: 1 tenant in market rate housing, 1 tenant with Section 8 voucher holder, 1 tenant with MRVP or continuum of care, 1 tenant of Holy Housing Authority, 1 tenant representative of local organization working on housing issue, 1 homeowner, and 1 landlord. So I totally understand the intent behind this order. Some of this stuff is already kind of happening with regards to like the Office of Tenant Protection and possible returning Office of Returning Citizens, and then the conversation around the homelessness liaison piece. I think the one thing that I don't see that is happening is creating somewhat of a committee of people that come together to kind of advise this. Now, I put the order on the table to see what the committee would like to do with this. They could do whatever we so please, but I think for me, the idea is to try to like honor the intent if we can. But again, I'm one person of the committee, so I will recognize Councilor Bartley.
I'll give my 2 cents. I'm supportive of this. I'm of the opinion that the best way for me to grasp something is to see it in writing. So when we're done with discussion here, I won't do it right this second, but ultimately my motion is going to be to ask the law department to put this into legal form and have it come back to us. I would only just say, just as a quick point of order to the chair, we've now done, we're starting to pile on a little bit, just in this little simple meeting with the law department. So sometimes it's kind of unfair. And so I think we have to give them expectations, but we also have to have deliverables. So maybe we want to be clear. You can do it in an email with Attorney Montalewski and the law department to say, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, we don't, as long as you're,
I mean, we could possibly do that now too at the same time.
Well, it's you're running the meetings, it's, that's just my point of order. It doesn't matter.
But I hear it, though. I hear it, and I kind of agree to an extent.
So the only thing I'd want to see that I don't see on here is, I'm good with the way this is laid out. I guess I would want to see something, which is my 2 cents, in legal form, something relative to maybe there's a budget. Maybe there's enforcement power, maybe there's city council approval, maybe there's mayoral appointees. I don't know where this is going exactly, because you can't just have, well, you can't have it. I mean, you can say an appointee shall come from Holyoke Housing Authority. An appointee shall have a mobile voucher.
I think,
whatever.
I think it's kind of like how we have like the Holyoke Housing Board, right? But except that it's not a full board that has as much power as the Holyoke Housing Board. We assign certain people.
Well, exactly.
So that would probably come out of the language too.
Well, I want to see the language. Say who appoints the landlord. So I would assume the mayor. I would assume the mayor. And who appoints the homeowner? I assume the mayor, but subject to city council approval. So I think that's reasonable. So that'd be my 2 cents on this.
Perfect. Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. I'm fine with the concept of creating an advisory committee, but I'm a little concerned about the portion of the order that says implementation of the protections, because I would see that as under the authority of the mayor in terms of operations within the city.
So,
Just,
and you are correct, but I think the piece of an advisory committee is that it is advisory. There is no actual like teeth in some of the stuff. Now, if this actually becomes a commission, which would be a different concept, that they would actually be able to have a certain amount of power. And not to say that they don't, they have voice and organizing skills with this piece here at the end of the day. So there is some power within it, but it's just, it's an advisory piece where if it does conflict with the power of the mayor, I think it would come up through the language, and then we can probably settle that.
right, that's just my question.
No,
that
I hear you.
See from how it's just laid out.
No, perfect. I hear you. Anyone else in the discussion? So then I would entertain. Go ahead, Councilor Bartley. I didn't see that. He had the little kiss there too.
Oh, were you trying? Oh, we didn't know if you wanted to be recognized.
Carmen, do you want? Well, I'm gonna have a slightly different take to what my friend suggested. I see this as being more than advisory, frankly. I'd like to see it be given. I'm not saying they're gonna be a police force, but the way you get people to go onto a committee, in my experience, is basically volunteer. You either got to give them a budget or you got to give them a little bit of power. Well, if you just say, whatever, dudes, go ahead and talk it out, and we'll get back to you. Yeah, to me, that doesn't cut it.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy right here?
I was on ordinance for a lot of years. I tell you what, I had personals go on last year. I think you're aware of that. I just had stuff going on.
No, I do. No,
It's what it is.
No, but I agree with that 100%.
Well, yeah, so that's my take on how it's done, but again, I'm only gonna say, I'm not seeing anything, until I can't really understand anything until I see it in writing.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy Ramboletti?
Thank you, Chair. My only comment, I love all of the things that are being said. I just think sometimes it's hard for and I'm not going to speak for the law department. This is just in my opinion. I feel like we as a body should give them a little bit more direction on what we want as a committee before they are able to present us with some legal language. And so I do think that the things that are being discussed here tonight are great. I agree with the intent of the order that was filed and like what the housing committee would look like. I guess I want to just remind us that sometimes it's hard in my experience, it can be hard for the law department to know exactly what we want for them to put into legal language without, really giving exactly what we're looking for. So I just wanted to like throw that out there because I think
we hear you.
Yeah, I've been hearing great ideas tonight. If I was in the law department, I would kind of be like, oh no, I don't really know where I'm supposed to go with this. Oh, and Jane's laughing now, but that's all I wanted to say. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'll recognize City Solicitor Mantaleski. But any questions, feel free to ask. So that way we make sure that you're being guided in the right direction. We don't want to lead you astray.
No, and I appreciate that. So what I was just going to suggest, there are a lot of different communities within the Commonwealth that have different like fair housing commissions and tenant commissions. So what I was going to suggest is that I can, the law department can grab some of those that we think could probably be good for the city of Holyoke, so that you can review them, look over some examples of what an ordinance could look like. And then for your next discussion, after having reviewed those, you can let us know some of your thoughts and which different provisions you might find that you think are best for the city of Holyoke.
Sounds good. Councilor Bartley.
I heard the prior two speakers. I'm going to have a slightly different take, if that's okay.
Bueno, yo tengo un punto de vista un poco diferente. Pero está bien.
The job of a city councilor is policy setting. I understand, and this is an old expression in ordinance and city council, why people watch us that they watch us and because they're interested, but it's called making the sausage. And sometimes it can be really long and grueling. In order to try to dodge some of that, the reason I made the motion the way I did, and I don't really want to get 15 different towns coming back to me and us our job's not to sift through all of them. We can do that online with the law department. The law department's job is to take what we did here, put into a draft form that we can look at. We can do our own homework about figuring out something from East Hampton or whatever other town that the law department wants to refer. But at least we start somewhere that says City of Holyoke at the top. I, for one, don't want to have 15 different towns coming here and we're going to shuffle through papers and we're going to have to get bogged down for an hour and a half on one topic. That's the way these things, die a slow, painful death. I don't think that's the way to engage the public or engage councilors, and certainly you're not going to engage me. I can do all the homework I need to do out of this room, and I'm happy to do it, and I do it. Let's. And I heard what the city council president said. Well, that's why I said earlier to you, before that was even stated, let's prioritize these things. Do we want to kick this one down for 90 days or 120 days? I think we do, because I don't think we have a major press on this, but maybe some of these other issues, the veterans thing, I think let's turn that around ASAP. And certainly before Memorial Weekend, I think that'd be great. But that's why you're the chairman. You can sort of coordinate these things, and you don't have to do it right in front of us. You can just do it offline, and then when we see it on the agenda next, we'll realize, okay, that's when it comes up. So that would be my preference. I'd rather have, once the law department has something that they've developed based upon this discussion and the order by the prior counselor, who's not here anymore. Now, I'm happy if he would come in or if he wants to communicate with you directly,
Si él se quiere
to
comunicar
expand
contigo
upon this,
directamente,
but I don't need to see
expandirse
all
un
this
poco eso,
stuff
pero yo no
and piles
necesito
and
ver
piles of
todas
papers
estas
in front of me.
cosas. Y hojas
And
y
I hope
hojas y hojas de
I made
papel
my point.
enfrente
Thanks.
mío.
Thank you, Councilor Bartley.
Gracias, consejero Burley.
So,
Well, my motion is going to be then to refer this back to legal, to put it into
Mi
legal
moción es
form
que se
based
vaya
upon what we discussed
a
tonight,
la
based
parte
upon the
legal para que
verbiage
se
here,
ponga en lenguaje
and then
legal.
to have the law department work with
Y
the chair of this
después tener
committee
una
to,
discusión y después
kick it back to
tener
us at the appropriate
trabajo
time.
con este departamento.
Period.
Punto.
Councilor Rivera seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Consejero Rivera, segundo. Otros en
5-0
favor, yo.
pass. Anyone opposed?
Alguien se
This
opone.
is a friendly group. I'd like to make a motion to take agenda item 7 off the table,
Me
please.
gustaría hacer la moción para tomar
All
el
in favor?
artículo número 7 de la mesa. Todos en favor, yo.
Agenda item 7 was filed by
En la
Councilor
agenda, el
McGivern
punto
and Councilor
7
Jordan.
fue por
Yes.
Okay.
Order that the
consejero
Director
McGee
of Office
ordenó que
and
el director de
Planning,
la oficina
Office of
de
Planning and Economic Development be authorized to provide a
Planificación
flexible work schedule
y
for PSA members.
se autorizará desarrollo
Flexible
económico
work
a
schedule will allow
proporcionar
for
un horario de
evening
trabajo
meetings to be
flexible para los
incorporated
miembros de
into
PSA.
the formal workday.
El
A
horario de
flexible
trabajo
schedule will be
flexible
required to
permitirá
fulfill the
incorporar
35 hours a week requirement.
reuniones
All
nocturnas a
additional
la jornada
contractual and
laboral
ordinance
formal, aún
related
requiere
to
un horario
these
flexible
positions
para
will be
cumplir con el
adhered
requisito
to.
de 35 horas semanales. Se cumplirá todas las
Councilor
ordenanzas
Jordan
y
is not
contratos
here.
adicionales relacionados con estos puestos.
Councilor Bartley?
I'll speak to it. I've got no problem with any of this.
Yo puedo hablar de eso, no tengo ningún
I mean,
problema.
but we have to have some coordination. I mean, we're not,
tenemos que
like I
tener
said,
algo de
we're
coordinación.
not micromanagers. Mr.
Sí,
Vega's
no
been doing this for
somos
more than a minute. He
micro-
knows how to manage the department. He just needs some flexibility. So, but let
Lo
him
único que
come to
necesitamos
us
es flexibilidad.
with something to where it should be inserted into the personnel manual. And also, he's got to work with
Sí,
Mrs.
mirarlo
Curran
con el
as
menú
well.
personal.
And didn't we hear from Mrs. Curran last night?
No
No,
habíamos
we did. We heard from,
escuchado
no, that was an executive session.
del
Okay.
señor
yeah.
Curran. Oh, no, eso fue la
Okay,
sesión
so,
pasada.
but he's got to work with Mr. Curran, and if there's something we got to vote on,
Que él va a trabajar
then
con el señor
whatever,
Curran.
let's vote to support the staff. I got no problem with it.
Ok, eso es para
Thank you.
apoyar a los
Let me
empleados.
recognize Kelly first, and then I got you, Councilor Vega.
Déjame reconocer a
Kelly?
Kelly primero. Kelly.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, I
Hola,
just
buenas
wanted to
noches.
say in regards to this, it would have to be negotiated
Debe ser
in the
negociado.
PSA contract,
En el
and we are in current negotiations with them.
Y estamos en negociaciones
I
actuales
do
con
want to
ellos.
speak to Aaron a little bit more about
Me
it,
gustaría
but
hablar con él un poco
I
más
don't, I agree with you, Counselor Bartley. I don't think it's something that needs to be at the council level, but
No,
I'm happy to discuss
necesita
more.
estar al nivel del consejo, pero estoy feliz
Thank you,
de
Councilor Bacon.
discutirlo.
Thanks. I just
Gracias, consejero
would
Bacon.
comment that I wanted to see what it would look like
Solo me
if
gustaría
we,
comentar
to your
cómo
point,
se
Kelly, even need to
va a
look at
ver
it.
a
Thank
tu
you.
punto, Kelly.
Well, so in
Como
point of order then,
es mirarlo.
I would just through the chair to Ms. Curran,
Sí,
should we
como-
just vote this out complied with, or do you think we need to hold it here for a little?
Yeah, I was going to ask that now.
¿Crees que lo
I was going
debemos
to
tener
ask
aquí
that
un
now.
poco más? Sí, eso era lo que iba a preguntar.
I think it could be complied with. I think it's something we could discuss at PSA negotiations. And I do get where Aaron's coming from, because they do have like 8 or 12 boards, and many of their members do attend night meetings, so I understand the need for flexibility. I think he was just trying to make sure he didn't feel like he was hiding anything, or, wanted to do it the right way. But I did share with him today that it would be something PSA would have to negotiate, since it's not just a department thing, but a union thing. So we can discuss that with the PSA union leadership.
Motion is complied with.
Thank you, Kelly. Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Dos en favor, yo.
Any opposed?
¿Alguien se opone?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to take agenda item 8 off.
Okay,
Well, you tell me, do we need 8 and 9 together, or they're kind of, well, no, forget it. I'll just send agenda item 8 off the table.
¿Lo podemos hacer juntos? No, olvídalo.
Councilor Rivera seconded it. All in favor?
Consejero Rivera.
Item 8 was filed by Councilor Murphy Ramboletti on October 4th, 2022. Order that the city examine and study the Schedule A increase that were recommended by the salary study completed in 2014, so that we can implement salary adjustments that are competitive and more aligned with neighboring
2014 para que
municipalities in
podamos
order to
implementar
attract and
ajustes
retain city employees.
salariales que sean
This item was
competitivos y
tabled
más
once
alineados con
before.
los vecinos y
Since
municipios para
Linda
retirarla.
or Councilor
El
speaking was the chair before at this time, I'll give you the floor first so that you can expand on the one tabled event, and then I'll recognize Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti.
Thank you. So what I would note is that this schedule was updated in 2021. And at the time, the mayor was working on different budget issues and different issues related to the positions, and I think a number of those things were addressed through the budget. But the last time the full schedule was updated was 2021. I don't really have anything else to add. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti, since you filed the order, would you like to expand, or do I recognize
just thank you. No, I just to give some background on this order, I filed it in 2022 because when I was working at City Hall in 2013, we were told by the council at the time that in order to provide city employees with any kind of raise, we needed to do a city, we needed to do a compensation study. Excuse me. And so the compensation study was completed in 2013, 2014. Yeah, 2014, and so that was 10 years ago. So I recognize that that salary study that we were requested to do is probably no longer relevant because it's literally been a decade. But the reason why I filed this order 2 years ago was because I still believe that the city council I'm sorry, that the city of Holyoke is not paying our employees in a competitive way or a way that aligns with other municipalities. And so, you know, over 10 years ago when this was requested, the salary study was requested, city employees were told, like, you know, we can implement some of these salary changes once we do this salary survey. And then the survey was done, and then a lot of those changes weren't made until maybe 8 years later. 9 years later, 7, I don't know, but there's still, although we have made great changes to our ordinances in order to make our city employee positions more competitive, I do think we still miss the mark, and it has always felt like the goal post is shifting on how we get to that point, unfortunately. And so while I recognize that the salary study is 10 years old and probably is quite irrelevant, I think it's important that we have this conversation. And Mr. Chair, I appreciate you putting it on the agenda so that we can have this conversation. And honestly, I will defer the rest of this to Kelly, who has her hand up. But I appreciate you bringing it up, letting me the opportunity to explain why I filed this order. The last thing I'll say is that I genuinely believe that the services we provide to our constituents that have elected us are directly impacted by the way that we hire people, the way that we retain people, and if there's turnover because we don't pay well enough, we feel the implications not only by having to hire someone new, we waste money because we've trained them, and then we lose time. Projects lose their own time. We are not able to continue the work that we are all trying to do as a city council. So I feel very, very strongly about making sure that everyone gets paid what they should be getting paid, and that it's comparable to other municipalities. And I know that a lot of city councilors or a lot of city employees have received adjustments in their schedule, but there are a lot of city employees who have not even still seen cost of living adjustments, and some of them are department heads. So I just want to be mindful of that. So I really appreciate you bringing this up. I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Yeah, so I echo what Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti said, and I just want to be clear, we're not looking like to increase everyone's salary right now, but we do want to change the ranges to be more competitive with areas, the surrounding areas, so that if we do have a vacancy, we can have a fighting chance to fill that vacancy. We can see right now, even though the engineer and civil engineer are not in Schedule A currently, we're having trouble filling those roles because of the low pay that they have. I did collect data along with the solicitor's office in 2022 when it was first brought, but I feel that that data is no longer relevant, even though it is still higher than what our current ranges are. I think it'll be higher more if I collect new data, which I plan to do so that everyone has accurate information of what nearby cities and towns are paying folks. I also would like to, we discussed adding Schedule B and maybe C to maybe give some options for the council to vote on. So I'd like to discuss that a little more if you are open to it.
So for that one, Kelly, I think you could talk to me or talk to Madam Chair Murphy-Ramboletti to see if we can file a separate order. Just because that's not, to my understanding, it's not what we presented on the agenda. So we can't necessarily talk about a different topic. We'd have to keep it to this. But I think I have a clarification question, right? Because I heard on the order it says 2014, but I heard Councilor Bacon say that there was a study updated for 2021.
No, so the study was done in 2014, but the changes were made. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Bacon. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Bacon.
So this.
I was just saying there wasn't a new study done, but the schedule was updated through our outside attorney that the law firm uses in 2021.
Okay.
It wasn't a new study, but all the things were updated.
From that study in 2021.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. That does.
So this was sent to me by Jeffrey. So we took it up in the spring, and he had sent it to me on April 25th of 2023, and it was the salary schedule that was adopted in 2021. So I'm just pointing out that it wasn't from 2014. That's all.
No. The study was done in 2014.
Right, and then
but it was implemented.
The results of it were then updated in 2021.
Yes, Councilor McGrath.
Okay. Does that mean that when we updated the schedule in 2021, it was based on 2014 numbers?
Yes.
The numbers were...
The study, the base numbers came from 2014. When the outside attorney updated the schedule, they were updated based on whatever data that law firm used. I don't know what it was. I mean, if we had it in front of us at the time, I remember. But the firm is the one that looked at that at the time. So I'm sure it's outdated now.
So, I mean, even if it is outdated for like 2023, it should be dated for 2021 if it was redone or updated.
Yes.
So I guess, Kelly, can we clarify, not to say that it's not?
Yeah. Right, so the study was done in 2014. The data from the 2014 was used to adjust Schedule A in 2021. So it was outdated then, and it's even more outdated now. In 2022, when Tessa filed the order, when Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti filed the order, I collected some data from nearby towns and cities. that now would also be outdated. But I'm happy to collect recent data to share again with the council.
Did they use that data to do the new
No,
update?
they used the 2014 data for the 2021
So
update.
that salary scale is based off of 2014 salaries.
Data. Yep, correct.
Sí, correcto.
Councilor Bacon.
I
know, and that's why I'm trying
we're talking across each other a little bit. That was the baseline study because that was the base range that was set, but then it was updated by that law firm. I'm just going by what Jeffrey sent me.
Okay, so
that's all I can tell you. I'm not saying the basis didn't change because we never did another study.
So then the basis would stay the same.
Right, because we never have done another study.
Okay. All right.
It was just updated on to that.
Perfect.
But everything was moved at that time, is all
So
trying to point out.
For this one, I am thinking that we are tabling
For more information.
For more information, especially because. Go ahead, Councilor Bartley.
Okay, yeah, can I just, okay, thank you. What I'm hearing from Ms. Curran, Kelly, is that she would prefer to have a conversation about schedules A, B, and C. So to me, somebody's got to file an order to get that before us, ship it down here, and then we can put those two orders and take them up as a package in committee. And what I also heard her say is that she's going to provide some updated comparisons and comparisons and analysis to us. So I think that can just come in emails. I don't think that has to be filtered through the city council because there's going to be kind of personnel data on there. So talk to the law department, do what you got to do. But to me, that could be disseminated to Jeff, and he'll ship it out to the rest of us. Kelly, however you want to do that. So and look, the final piece is if there's certain, I've been hearing that same thing. And I'm being respectful here, because I've been hearing all that same type of speech for 12 years. Retain employees. We're underpaying them. We're training them and they're leaving. I've been hearing the exact same rhetoric for 12 years. I, for one, would like to do our darndest now to not have to hear that next year. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that, Mr. Chairman. I'm just saying, but I've been hearing that exact same thing. We have to retain and attract talent. You know how many times I've heard that? Double digits, easily. And then we're losing employees. Okay, well, we're not the only one losing employees. People leave their jobs and like changing socks. I mean, I know how that's how kind of the modern world works. So we're not going to have these 25, 30-year veterans like we used to have back in the day. But look, we need to be within the range, keeping in mind that we're the city of Holyoke. We're not the city of Arlington, where the governor lives, or whatever, Dover or whatever, money towns down there. Okay, so we just have to be within our context. We have to do our best, and so I'm hopeful that once we get those new orders, that we can take them up. That one, if I may, and just I'm humbly saying, that one we'll probably have to grind out. So I hope we don't have a 17-item agenda that night when we deal with that, because that one's gonna take a minute. So that's my 2 cents. Anyhow, I'll make the motion if you want to.
Thank you, and I think I would like to add that yes, we are everywhere. Is the problem with turnover is crazy across the nation. Things are different in today's day and age. But I think the statement of the city of Holyoke, and I wouldn't just say just city government. I'm going to say city of Holyoke because the school has the same problem. We are kind of a stepping stone for people. We have everything that fills your resume. We are the community that if you work in this community for about 3 to 4 years, you apply somewhere else that's a bigger community that has the same issues, you're going to make a significant amount of money. And I think for us, is maybe coming to the reality of that's what it is here. And how can we foster in the new talent that's coming in and try to get that best talent of the new talent that's coming in on a regular basis, and maybe adjusting the salary scale I'm not saying that that's the final answer, but maybe that could be a step in the right direction. But I hear you when you're saying let's just give, not pretty much give them what they want, but like let's have that conversation, let's line it up, so that way we no longer hear this anymore moving forward. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. And yes, we do have to look at that, but we also have to keep in mind the size of our government, how much it's growing, how much the tax burden on the citizens that are supporting this government that's getting too big for them is growing. And so we need to look for efficiencies. If we're adding more money and we're adding any more positions, we have to find efficiencies and consolidations and savings in other parts of the budget, because we can't just keep increasing it, because spending more money doesn't always get you better results.
I hear you. Thank you. Councilor Patty and then Tessa, because Patty hasn't talked yet. Councilor Devine?
Thank you, Councilor. Just a couple of things. Kelly, thank you for your responses. And I'm wondering, for the 2014 study, if we could get a copy of those positions, as well as ones that may have been updated. The other thing is, I do agree that we need some more schedules, A, B, and C, because there are still people that aren't getting paid what other communities are getting paid for doing the same job. And I think it's important that we look into that. And, you know, people shouldn't have to wait 9 years for a raise. And if, you know, they're working here, they're doing a great job, and I think it's important that we acknowledge that and do some study and maybe let these people come in and talk to the Ordinance Committee or the Personnel Committee and find out what they really do, because they really do a lot more than people assume. And I think that's important. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Tessa Murphy-Rambalati.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a remark that, you know, I recognize that paying people more adds to our overall bottom line, and that folks are concerned about what implications this has on the taxpayer. But the implications of losing city employees as regularly as we do actually has a bigger impact on the taxpayer than I think we realize. When for example, if our Board of Public, the Board of Health director leaves, that impacts all of us. We file a lot of orders related to the Board of Health. We file a lot of orders related to the DPW, for example. And if we can't retain our employees, what Councilor Rivera said about folks coming to the city, this is their training ground, it doesn't have to be that way. Right now, we do pay for people to get trained, to get the certifications that they need, and then they leave and they go work for another municipality that's going to pay them better. So while it feels like maybe this is spending more money, I just want to reiterate that every time we don't pay our city employees what they deserve, we're actually saving a penny just so that we can spend $1. And if you're not someone that's ever actually worked in City Hall, I recognize that it's hard to understand that. But like, it's the norm for people to not get, there's city employees who have not gotten a cost of living adjustment. There's department heads who have not even received a cost of living adjustment since they've been working for us. And that's crazy. And I don't think what I'm asking for, I don't think filing this order was out of line. I don't agree with doing a whole another study. That feels like it's just something that we're going to kick down the road again. I appreciate that Kelly Curran is willing to provide everyone with more comparables. I'm sorry that you have to spend your time doing that over and over again, because in my short time on the council, you've done that so many times for us. So, I am going to continue to advocate that we should be paying our city employees better, that when we do pay our city employees better, the retention actually saves us money and saves us time and saves us the opportunity of having to wait for a department head to answer all of the orders that we file. So, I understand that it's something where we have to spend a little money right now, but like these things adds up. So that's where I stand. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy Brambaletti. I'm gonna recognize Kelly first, and then I got Bartley and Vacan in the queue.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, changing Schedule A, wouldn't it be, every department head's going to get an increase? That's not what the request is. It's just to have it more up to date. So if needed, we can go to a higher salary. I think we have a lot of amazing department heads right now. The momentum is infectious. We had a management training today and everyone was excited to be there, participated, contributed. And I think this past year, the past 2 years, the mayor has been doing a great job, and with councilors' approval of getting positions closer to where they should be. And I think the department heads feel really appreciated for that. We know that it's not a rich city. We're not here to get rich. We're here because we all want the city to be a better place to live, to work. And I think that shows in each of our department heads. And so I think, bringing this up to date will benefit us in the long run. I don't know anyone who's leaving now, but you never know when we have to. And I don't want to do a one-off again like we had to with the DPW director, where we had to increase the salary and it had to go through committee and council, and it just takes too much time to get things done, and we could lose a candidate in that scenario. So I think if we had the schedule, the ranges where it should be, we wouldn't have to do the one-offs. And again, I don't think everyone's going to get a raise if we increase the schedule. It's just going to be there if needed to fill a position, or in the budget season if, like, for example, the DPW director's role is at its max, so he can't get a raise because it would go above the range. And so I don't know how long he would stay with the salary he's at. Not to, pick on him, but just use that position as an example.
Thank you. Real quick, Jeff, you wanted to address us because your hand is raised.
Yeah, just wanted to make a quick note. So
you got an echo.
Sort of picking up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's two people. It's like you twice.
Es como que te oigo dos
Maybe
veces.
turn the speaker off. So the last time this taken up, my notes had that give you guys the compensation study. Next time this will be taken up.
I don't think we can understand anything you're saying, Jeff. I'm sorry. Yeah, just if you would like to just come over here, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll come out there.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Both of you, right?
That's a good solution. Come on, Jeff, you know your way. Inside this building.
So last time this was taken up, last April, you guys asked me to provide the compensation study. Next time this was taken up, I included the, as you can see, the legal form that was adopted in 2021 as well. But looking at my records, I do also have an extensive collection of spreadsheets that the committee went over throughout the process that shows all of the positions, the people who were in them, as well as a series of calculated COLA increases that accounted for the years between 2014 and when it was adopted. I thought that would be a lot of information to throw at you guys today, but I can provide that for you guys, after this meeting.
And I think Kelly indicated she wants to give us newer information than what as well. because she feels that's outdated at this
Porque ella
point.
siente que
I just, for historical record, I thought that would be helpful if I would.
Yeah, so for the next meeting, I think you could probably just give it to us, we don't have to have it actually printed, but I think maybe email it or something,
Yeah,
put it on the
just so you
agenda,
can see kind of
just so that
the
it,
historical record of.
right, just to have it on the historical, contextual piece. Thank you, and then Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to respond to what you said about 10 minutes ago. There's a lot of stuff in between, but let's just move on from that for right now. I think your point was a very good one, is that, where are we going to get the people? Well, HPS, HCC, Westfield College, STCC. I mean, I'm just saying, there's a pretty big pool. And so somehow Holyoke's got to recruit. And just one other small point, as part of the hiring process, I'm hopeful that it's laid out in clear terms. This is kind of where we are in terms of salary. Now, if somebody says to me, well, because the range is so terrible, we're not getting any candidates. Oh, well, okay, well, that's a whole different story. But then we got to adjust that. And then if somebody says to me, department heads who haven't had a raise in 10 years, again, Mr. Chair, if you know how many times I heard that one, the answer to that is twofold. One, the main answer is go to the mayor. And if the mayor says, here's the range, then the mayor needs to come back to us in Ordinance Committee and say, we need to expand it. That's how that gets solved. So you just don't say, I'm frustrated by it. I mean, the answers are there to solve these riddles. So I don't need to know which department head, I'm not asking, but hopefully that department head can figure out the process to speak for him or herself. And then I just like that idea that we've got to get into our schools more, and especially our own schools, the charter and whatever else, Dean, and we got to get to our own schools and say, just like the GE does that. They've got a great program where they have college students from WPI and Rensselaer and Rochester. They set them up with interns, and they're very handsome salaries, with the hope that once they graduate, they'll come on board for a little bit.
You're gonna do that with Dean Tech.
Counselor, I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
I mean, the genies carved that path, and they've done it beautifully, and it works. I think Waterworks does it too. Those are darn good jobs. So. Hey, whatever. But you want a motion to table this or what?
Hold on, Councilor Reagan, but real quick, I think the one thing is where the frustration lies is the salary study was done in 2014, and none of the stuff was actually implemented until now. So yes, you are right. Go to the mayor, right, and do all that. But it feels like, I think, and I don't work here, and I never have, but it sounds like some people did, and it happened, but it just paused the process. And that's where the frustration probably lies for some of them. But I'm just interpreting. I don't know who that is. Councilor Bacon. Oh, who's the mayor now?
So many people were adjusted in 2021, and over the years, one of the good things that happened with that study is that the grades were created based on certain definable levels of responsibility in the jobs. And what's also happened from time to time is if people's positions changed and their responsibilities changed, sometimes the grading of the position has changed. So this hasn't been just a static thing sitting there and nobody got raises. And within the ranges, the budget has included those things from the mayor. So, okay, thanks.
Just some clarification real quick though, but there are people retiring after like 25, 30 years experience, and they're still under like a $50,000 to $45,000 salary. Right?
Well, it depends on what the job is.
All right, just wanted to make that clear. So.
Motion table?
Second.
All in favor? Wait, no, Councilor Rivera, I'm sorry. We're in the queue.
I'll just make it brief. So I feel this topic, it is very important. Just to say, like, someone of 30 years has been working in a position, a very important position. However, someone else that is in that department, nowhere close to what this individual was working on and all her responsibilities, yet it's making more money than that individual. So that's why I feel we should, because I don't feel that right there is fair. Like, this person is putting, 30 years, however, than somebody else that comes into that department, and of course, that's not their fault on it, but it's getting paid more money than that individual that which has all these responsibilities, nothing that the other one has. So I feel that, and then I do work closely with HPS, and I hear it, I want to say on a weekly basis, and I see it, how they're all leaving us. Like whether it's teachers, whether it's paras, face team members, coaches, they're all leaving us. It's like scary because we need our staff. But again, it's because of the salaries. And every time I talk to them, like, where are you leaving us? Oh, I got offered a position in Springfield and I'm making this much more money, and
Referring to the schools, right?
schools, yeah, HPS, and that's city employees. It's just, it's hard. We need, our kids need a good education, but if we gotta find some kind of solution where we could keep our employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rivera.
I'll make the motion to table.
Can I just address Councilor Rivera 1 second, Councilor Rivera? Just through the chair.
There's no second.
I just want to say, you're right on point. And I just asked Jeff, and he's going to get it from Mr. Casey today. Wow, that was a horrible sentence. He asked Mr. Casey today, and hopefully get it next week, the top 100 salaries and Danny Breslin's one who started this X years ago. For the city side, well, they're not, the updated ones are not posted. So the city side and the HPS side. And when you get to the HPS side, I hope that we'll comb that very carefully. Pretty top-heavy with the superintendents. Pretty top-heavy with the administration, I should say.
It'd be the same for police.
I mean, I think that's your point. I think that same. Of course, the same as the police.
And
I mean, how many police department supervisors? I mean, you'll get overtime. Well, I don't know. We do. Well, whatever. I'm just saying that's the way it works. But you got to think it out. You talk about budget problems. You got to put those things on the table.
Oh, I hear you, Councilor.
Well, whatever. Okay, motion table.
Yeah, I think one of the things for me with that is there's employees that work for the city and live within the city. But if you look at it, a lot of the employees that make most of the money within the city don't necessarily live within the confines of the city.
Most of them don't.
Right.
How about
but
living in Chicago? I think we all know that, right? Okay. All right, let's
Okay.
move on. Motion table.
A second. I mean, I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to take agenda item 9 off the table, please.
I hear a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9 was filed by Councilor McGee. Order that the position of Chief Administrative and Financial Officer be created and added to Schedule A. Councilor McGee is no longer here, but I put this on the agenda because this is something that has been in conversation for quite some time. And it kind of makes sense to either go forward with it or maybe table it until we have the mayor come in and speak more on what he's looking for and what he's trying to do. But I kind of wanted to bring it up just for discussion for the most part here. So under discussion, I guess. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you. So I would really hope that the mayor would come in, because my understanding is that this position was created to be something that would be implemented when there was consolidation taking place relative to the treasurer and the collector's office. And so far, the understanding was last year, when it was a non-election year, we were supposed to move forward with the treasurer matter to change it from elected. Well, we didn't make that window, so now we're in the next window to try to move forward with that. And I really think I'm totally supportive of consolidating the positions. I think we need to make the departments more effective. But just speaking for myself, I can't see how we can add another layer and position into the administration of this very small city without doing that hand in hand. So I just find it a catch-22. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Reagan. And I think that, and I see you, Councilor Devine. I got you in a second. I think that I think we could do kind of both at the same time, right? But I do hear you with regards to the costs, and where the money would come from with regards to us and our budget.
Yeah, if I can just clarify, I would just like to see something happening because nothing is happening.
Right. So I think
it hasn't for.
I think for me, and I'll speak for myself. There's two things that could possibly happen, right? Because the treasurer position is an elected position, and anybody can win that position, right? And when I say anybody,
I'm aware.
I feel like there has to be a space where, at the very least, if we continue with that process, that there is someone that is a constant in a row that would be supporting it. And that's the piece where, even with the clerk, eventually, I think that for us, we have to figure that out. There has to be someone that is a constant, because if the person loses or does not continue to move forward in that role, we stop everything, and that person has to relearn everything. If we have someone in a role that would be like a CAFO, that is a constant, that stays in the role that manages everything else, then
As much as any other department head.
right. But like the other department heads are constant. Op-ed is constant. It's not, you don't get, as long as they're here, but they can't get elected out in the next 2 years. So that's the piece to me, right? And that's the most important piece that we're trying to draw. I hear you. I want to see something moving. I put it on the table. I don't know if the mayor had time to come today. I'm sure he'll be at the next one. But this is something that I feel like it is imperative that we start moving on. And I see Councilor Devine. Go ahead. I would like to recognize you.
Thank you, Counselor. Just very, very briefly, it's very difficult to hear sometimes with the microphones. And I know last night I did get a message from somebody that they had a difficult time listening. And I don't know if it's the microphones itself, if they need to be adjusted, or people need to speak into them better. And that's my only concern. It's just really difficult to hear you.
All right. So you're talking about me specifically? Because if it's me, then I'll speak.
No,
Because I have a very low voice, and
I can
sometimes.
hear you fine.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
moving
thank
forward, I'll make sure too, just in case, because I do know I have a low voice, and I've always been said like, "Yo, you need to speak a little clearer." So
Well, I can offer a motion on this if you like. I'm not sure.
let's just let me see, just to make sure there's a discussion.
Well, I'm ready to offer a motion. Go ahead.
Councilor McGrath Smith.
There's a lot of moving pieces to this process, and it's interesting going back into the Charter Commission process that failed a number of years ago. And effectively, a lot of things were packaged all together, and because it's sort of a, one very unpopular change, and then also I think just the weight of how many changes were being offered at once, it failed. But if you look at the Charter Commission, since then, very slowly, that one, check, that one, check, a version of that one, check, right? Slowly, a lot of those changes have been put in place since then. And this is something that the Charter Commission, had been looking at in terms of the treasurer's position. I do think that there's a lot of things that do need to happen around restructuring the finance department. I do think that it's very important for us to get our financial house in order, because even if we're a small city, we're a small city with big problems. And I feel like financially, it makes sense to have a chief financial officer and to restructure the positions underneath it.
And above.
But the reality too is that there's a process of it moving through council and ordinance and charter and home rule petition. There's a lot of, well, what's the timeline? What pieces have to happen? And I think it's okay to start somewhere and then you just keep building and layering on. So I don't think that, just because we also know that we have to handle the treasurer's position and change it from being elected to appointed, I don't think that prevents us from also looking at this. Because I do think that this year and this term on council, I do think these are the issues that we'll end up resolving. And I think that we may tackle them in any order, as long as we get to all of them by the end.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath-Smith. I hear you on that. That makes a lot of sense. The process of government, what I've learned in my 2 years, now 2 and 2 months, is incremental. And for you to actually get to the place you want to see, you have to map out the whole goal. And I'm learning that from watching some of the other councilors maneuver their moves. But yeah, on the motion, I guess.
Hold on, that's how you do it. But I would like to.
Councilor Bartley.
I'm going to say, the chair, if I may humbly say, needs to communicate with the mayor. Mayor needs to come, we need to table this.
And yeah,
the mayor needs to come back to us with a game plan. For example, are we going to do a home rule for the treasurer? Are we going to combine the tax collector and the treasurer? I mean, I don't have a game plan in front of me.
No, I hear you.
Something in writing. So I'll let you communicate that the way you see fit. But my motion for right now is it's a good order. Todd always writes good orders. I think it's the motion is just a table for now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I'll make a motion now to take item 10 off the table. Please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 10 was filed by Councilor Murphy Ramboletti, Councilor Jourdain, and myself, Israel Rivera, on December 5th, 2023. Order that the position of crime analyst be created and added into Ordinance Schedule A. This is a position that I feel, just me personally, I feel is needed within the department, but I also hear I don't want to say cries because that's the requests from different councilors too as well, and from the chief with regarding to having the specific data that is needed for them to be better at their jobs on a daily basis. And I think for us as a council, it makes sense to kind of have this specific data so that we can make the necessary decisions that we're making, especially around our fiduciary responsibilities with the city constituents' tax dollars, being informed from a crime analyst that's they're professionalizing this stuff. But I'll entertain anything under discussion right now.
Do we already have a job description for that?
Kelly is actually online, so we can actually ask her that. Her hand is raised. Go ahead, Kelly.
We do have a job description. I'm not sure if it was shared previously or not, but I'm happy to share it with you all.
Yeah, if you could send it to us via email.
If you could just send
It's been shared just for everyone's FYI. It's been shared.
Oh, it's in our email then.
It wasn't shared to me, so I believe you that.
Let me see right here.
Got shared to somebody, but.
Point of order, was it
shared
sent?
on the
Was it
September
sent this time, like this term, or was it in the previous term that it was sent?
Order was filed in December.
Yes, but my concern or question, and maybe it's for Jeff, if it was shared in the email that he sent with us for everything that was attached. For tonight. And if it wasn't, then we haven't received it then. If it was sent to us in the past, it probably was, but we do have new members on the council.
Yeah, but Jeff usually gives us everything that he has in the jacket.
I agree with you. That's why I feel like we may have had it. But Jeff, are you with us?
No, the only thing we shared was the order itself.
I'm here.
Oh, man.
That's the only thing we shared. I had.
So, as with the little amount of words as possible, I'm sorry, because you got your boy in the background echoing you. Were you able to share the document or the job description for this meeting? For the crime. Okay, go ahead.
For this meeting, because it was last thing day when I got agenda, I didn't
okay, that's fine.
To look at what I needed to put together for everything.
All right, no worries. If you can share that with everyone after the meeting, that would be great, so that we all have it. And then I'll kind of like translate what Jeff said. So
I don't mind emailing it either. I can email it to this
thank you,
group
Kelly.
if-
So just for the record, Jeff said that, if I remember correctly, that he didn't attach it for this particular agenda because in the last meeting, it was sent out for The Last of Us, and he didn't really think to attach it. But he said he's gonna send it to us.
I believe him.
And Kelly said she'll send it to us as well.
Just on discussion.
Do you want me to read what the, like an
No, it's
overview
fine.
of it?
No.
No, it's fine. Thank you. I mean, we're
Some meetings turn to five.
yeah. No, we're almost at the finish line.
Okay, so I get it.
I'll review it in my email when I get it.
I'll read it home.
And then the next time when we come back up, we'll actually have the physical copy, hopefully. Counselor Bartley?
You gotta, what's been happening religiously from mayors is that we start funding positions that don't exist. So that's why they get knocked out of the box. So I'm gonna say, I would humbly say that we certainly should table this now, but we should refer this to legal so they can put the position into legal form into the schedule so that we can read it. And then you can attach the job description and we can, tweak that as best we can to whatever meeting you want to do it. And that way you move it along. And I've got no problem supporting this if that's what is the will of the body. I mean, I need to know more about it, however, but. So my take is to refer, motion twofold, refer a copy back to legal, to have them put into legal form, and then to table this until you see fit to bring it up again. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
And Mr. Chair, can I suspend our rules, because these look like they're gonna be similar type orders. Take 11 and 12 as a package, take them off the table, take them as a package, and to approve the removal of both of them so long as the handicap board said green light.
I'll second that, and the board doesn't review removals.
Oh, they don't, oh, geez, my bad, thank you for.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
My motion is gonna be, since there's nothing to do, I'll say a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And one more motion.
To adjourn.
There you go. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everyone?
Well, you get to say it.
Yeah. Motion, meeting adjourned.
There you go.
Gracias. Ya tengan buena noche.